the election is a choice about the future. So if I'm re-elected as Prime Minister, I'm going to get those flights off, I'm going to get that deterrent going, and that's how we're going to stop the vote.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Keir Starmer.
They're not going to do that, and no, well, that's the choice, Nick, and we should talk about the choice of this election.
You should also talk about your record as you've been in power for 14 years, the
I'm
Conservatives.
very happy to talk about it, but the choice is clear, because if you care about that issue, I'm the one that's going to deliver on it for you, and if Keir Starmer is just going to offer an amnesty to illegal migrants, that will make us a soft touch of Europe.
What do you care about NHS
migrants at just the moment when other European countries are seeing that my approach is the right one, he's deciding to do something completely different.
By the way, no other European country is planning to do what you're doing. They're planning to process claims abroad, not
no, that's
send asylum seekers out of the country and declare they can never come back.
Nick, that is simply not right. That is simply not right. I literally just got back from Austria, where that's not at all what the Austrian Chancellor said. And, by the way, if you read the statement that was put out by all these European countries, they're very clear about returning illegal migrants to safe third countries as part of a plan to stop the incentive for them coming in the first place. That's what they have said. It's crystal clear in black and white, and that is showing that my bold action is now being followed across Europe. Those are the conversations I have with other European leaders.
And you seem ever so slightly reluctant to talk about the NHS, but it's part of your plan. You set it out. You had
very happy to
I'm
talk
just
about
going to take you through the plan at the time we have available. Well, let's talk about it. You said you would cut NHS waiting lists. You said, quote, NHS waiting lists will fall. Rishi Sunak. They've gone up. They haven't fallen since you've become Prime Minister. You failed.
No, they haven't fallen as much as I would have liked. I've been
very
clear about that.
We haven't made
as much progress as I would have. We haven't made as much progress on NHS waiting lists as I would have liked. But they have now fallen by 200,000 over the past few months. And actually, the NHS have published data showing that if it wasn't for the industrial action, they would have fallen by almost 500,000, and we would have met the pledge. And so that is, of course, disappointing. But what we have also done is got on hiring more doctors and nurses, so that we've got the staff we need in the future. That's never been done before. We're making sure that it's easier for you to go see your pharmacist rather than your GP when you or your children have a sore throat or an ear infection. That will speed up your care. And we've also
我爸爸今次再拍喺院嗰邊啊，安全啲，等睇我。
on the NHS. So those are all the things we're doing. But you can't have a strong NHS without a strong economy. It's the foundation of everything we want to achieve as a country, and that's why it's so important.
Africa.
So we're in a position now where we can invest more in public services at the same time as cutting taxes. That didn't happen. Labour opposed every decision I took, pretty much. Let's turn to Labour, that economic stability, and that's the choice of the election. If you want financial and economic stability to fund public services, then you need a strong economy, and that's what I bring. I'm prepared to take the decisions that are required to do that, even when they're difficult, because that turns to the country's long-term interest.
Listeners have to forgive me. You'll have to forgive me for interrupting from time to time. You know, we have limited time. I've got lots of subject we want to get through, so let's turn to something you're very, very keen to talk about. You rightly say there's the election is also a very important part of the way that tomorrow future the choice. I want to pick up something you said yesterday. I was very struck by it. You were referring back to the pandemic. You talked about the kindness of the British people, the statement outside Downing Street. Is it too much to ask that in this election, and I will ask your opponents this question too, you treat your opponents kindly? You do not portray people as unfit for office, who when, in the case of Sir Keir Starmer, he retired as Director of Public Prosecutions, was thanked by a Conservative Prime Minister for all he had done to keep the public safe.
咁啊好忙喎，呢邊又。
So this is an election about who's the right person to lead the country going forward, Nick. And I'm not going to shy away from making the case that I am the right person. And ultimately there is a straightforward choice between Keir Starmer and me. I'm proud of what I've done, and what I've watched when I've been across the dispatch box is someone who, however well-intentioned he might be, has changed his mind on almost every major issue that I've had to debate with him over the last 18 months. He doesn't have the courage to tell the country what he's going to do on all the key issues that you and I have been talking about, and he doesn't have a plan, and he's assuming that he can waltz into Downing Street and take the British public to
all legitimate questions,
shy away from making that case.
All legitimate points, and that's part of politics. So I asked you whether you treat him and the country with kindness. You're not going to suggest in this campaign, are you? Or are you? that your principal opponent is a
Why?
threat to our security?
Well, I think security is an important theme at this election. We're living in an increasingly
I'm hearing you as
uncertain
listeners
world.
are
You've
not
rightly
answer the
covered
question
that.
if you're predicting. Are you going to portray
I think,
Keir
Nick,
Starmer
I am
as a
trying to answer the question, and you're already interrupting me. So, I do believe that we're living in a more uncertain and dangerous time than the country has experienced in decades. I set out in detail why I believe that was the case just a couple of weeks ago in a speech. There's an axis of authoritarian states that are seeking to undermine our values and our interests. That's impacting us around the world. It's impacting us at home in ways that I spelled out. So I do think it's important in this country that we ask the question, who is better placed to take the action that is needed, that has a plan to deliver security to you and your family and our country. And what I've made a decision to increase defence spending. Well, let's make that specific. I've made a decision to increase defence spending to 2.5%. So let's not talk about personalities.
No, we're not going to.
Let's talk about policy and substance.
No, but let's talk
about
the question about
security.
which is your record in office, Prime Minister. This is
Nick, this is really important. You asked a personal question. You asked a personal question about trust and security. That's an incredibly fundamental question. So let me answer it. I've made a specific decision to increase our defence spending to 2.5% of GDP because I believe the world is more uncertain, and that is what is required to keep this country safe.
Point made,
Keir Starmer has not matched their
and I'll
faith.
put that to Keir
Keir Starmer has not matched their faith. So I'm answering your question because you asked me, can you be trusted to keep the country safe? Is your threat to security? I'm responding on the policy substance. If I'm elected as Prime Minister, I will continue increasing defence spending to 2.5% of GDP because I think that is what is required.
So let's talk finally about the substance of your record.
You should explain why, because that's what is necessary to keep people safe and to deliver a secure future.
We've got to have questions. But thank you. We've heard that very clearly. It will be raised with him and no doubt later. This is, of course, partly, let's be a verdict on the record of the Conservatives as a whole, and not just you. Keir Starmer says stop the chaos. Has he got a point that the 3 different Prime Ministers in a year, 4 different Chancellors in a year, a Home Secretary sacked for 6 days, then hired again and sacked again a year later, Prime Minister who was forced out of office because he was judged to be lying by his own colleagues in Parliament, and another who even you think has to be a convict. Why don't you? So, another story.
So do you want to focus on, and you're going to focus on 49 days after the 14 years?
Asia, Africa. Da 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 da. Blah blah blah.係咪應該叫奧松尼亞啫？係咪叫奧松尼亞？Australia 其實係咪應該係奧松尼亞？Oceania。That's a country name, is it? Australia. Really? What's Oceania? What was that? What is Oceania? What is Oceania? Oceania. Oceania.哥，你記唔記得我個朋友有次過嚟食飯嘅哥哥？嗰個哥哥爸爸同我，佢今晚都過嚟食飯，同你玩呢個 Mario 咩 party 嗰個咧。今晚9點之前要走㗎，今晚9點之前要走，上次遊得太耐。
That was a very, very touching moment for me, and I was very, very happy to hear the British national anthem for once here.
Yes, and everybody was. We were delighted at this one, and we're going to be the talk of Britain, obviously. What were your feelings? Were you thinking of anything as you were crashing through the water?
Well, I was thinking of finishing the race, and I was thinking I hoped I would finish it first. I knew John would be there all the time during the race, and I was just very, very happy to end the race and end it first.
David Wilkie speaking with Terry Wogan in 1976. Before that, you heard commentator Alan Weeks describing David Wilkie's gold medal win in Montreal. And he said it was Britain's first swimming gold medal since Anita Lonsborough's triumph in 1960. And Anita Lonsborough joins us. Anita, good morning.
Good morning.
What are your memories of David?
Oh, very happy memories. I have to say, working with BBC Radio on occasion, and it was just a pleasure meeting him with such a magnificent as well. He was a great wrestler, and he set the standard for this and inspired the rest of the swimmers who have gone on and done so well in modern days. I mean, we've had such a great number of breaststroke swimmers, and they have all been inspired and followed in David's footsteps.
And there's a nice line that didn't find us today. It says between 1908 and 2021, the best swimmer Britain ever had was David Wilkie.
Oh, David was among the top, yes. He won a gold and 2 silvers at the Olympics, and I'm sure had he gone on to Moscow 4 years after his Montreal trip, he would have won another 2 medals, definitely won the 200, and possibly could have been up there in the 100.
And when you think that Olympic victory, he knocked an astonishing 3 seconds off the world record, didn't he?
Oh, yes. I mean, I can always remember in the 100 metres, which was about 3 days prior to the 200, he was second to Haitian, and that was a crucial time for him. And I always remember saying, you might be sure that today, you can sure the 200 it will be gold. And we all expected a world record because it was in such good form.
Anita Lonsborough, thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Anita.
Pleasure.
Finding here at the top, both trains are done at 7:31. Be a formal investigation into the process charged for offence. Police service of Northern Ireland is facing a possible fine of £750,000. Details of all story linked and further apprehensive officers. And the COVID inquiry will reconvene in London today for a special session to hear evidence from Britain's top civil servant. Simon Case was in the post during the pandemic but couldn't give evidence last year because he was sick.
It's 26 minutes to 9. I did say that we would have a think and have a sort of regroup, if you like, about what we just heard from the Prime Minister, who has just been to by Nick. If you were listening to that, if you're just joining us now, I also said we would have a word with the BBC's political editor, Chris later. Chris, thanks for coming back to talk to us. It's interesting and it's important to start to understand how the Prime Minister is going to make his case. Almost, going back to his doorstep and trying to, if he can, rebadge this as a new or exciting offering to the public.
Yeah, and clearly I thought there around two central things that I struggled to provide notes of as I was listening to Nick's conversation with the Prime Minister.
Oh.
Firstly, that pitch on the economy, that idea as the Prime Minister articulated it, says it. I don't think he's very good at campaigning. Campaigning
你看到了那种吗？
and I think, some of the questions you put in there just underline the absolute weakness of their position. You can't just laugh off the fact that this test is closed.
这一个好好
You
可
can't
以
just
下
laugh
来。
off the fact that he had these fine cast iron pledges, judged you by them, no ifs, no buts, and the only one that is succeeded is the one over which he has the best control in place. So I just think he came over and sounded really desperate, man. He looked desperate yesterday. And a lot of the ideas you and I may know about because we've followed them over the last few years, but actually for millions of people that don't get that.
That's a really good point. I thought the only really good line Sunak had yesterday was when he said, I don't know what Labour are offering. He looked in the camera and he said, I don't think you know either. And I thought that was quite an effective line. Let me just pick up with Helen Lewis, the money point, before we go on to discuss the great personality and what they're saying, what the challenges they'll face. Helen, as someone who knows that really full series about what's that, do remind me of the title, so we've been picking up on BBC Sound. Forgive me, I should have it in front of me.
Helen Lewis has left the chat.
There we are.
Named after myself.
Do you think money is a factor? And it's hard because it will now pay ads as you get to the United States, not for posters that we saw, those of us who grew up in the 80s and 90s in politics,
What's going
not
on?
for social media campaigns.
I mean, you saw yesterday that I think Rishi Sunak's initial video came out was a lot better and more polished than any unfortunate kind of grand flat speech in the rain. And obviously both of us did a huge amount of work on digital communication. But you also saw the downside of that yesterday, which is one of the things that I picked up in the episode about WhatsApp at Westminster, is the fact that the whips have very little control over people, leaking their unhappiness over WhatsApp to journalists. They can see who people are talking to in the tea rooms, and to some extent they can say, I know I saw you talking to X person, and it appeared on BBC News 5 minutes later. They can't do that with WhatsApp. And so yesterday already, the time you'd expect the most discipline at the start of an election campaign, Tory MPs were already beginning to kind of seep out their level of we don't know why we think he's doing this, have already started to hit journalists. And that's the downside of digital campaigning, is that it is so fast, and it is also something that allows MPs unfiltered access to social media communications themselves. So their tweets will be very, very fascinating to watch over the next couple of weeks. Yes, and or across Instagram or TikTok, wherever they're going to take it, because X, as it is moved on. Morning, Helen. I greatly enjoyed your WhatsApp lesson. Some of them are even on TikTok. They are. What that young people are interested in. Watch out for it. Just looking ahead a minute until the weekend, Nigel Farage is expected to attend the Reform campaign launch today. With your insights into the Conservative mindset at the beginning of this city campaign, what do you make of how the Conservatives will be reading that threat to their appeal?
I think they're very worried. I think Reform is already trading at about 11%, which and I think John Curtin said on your programme that Farage could double that if he decides to leave them. The Conservatives, obviously, after this is over, face a real existential threat as to where their party's going to go. And they clearly will lose a lot of red wall seats that they gained in 2019, but reform is challenging them quite heavily. And actually, in some places, reform is getting more from the Tories than Labour is getting from the Tories.
Well, I was going to say, Alice Campbell, to bring you in on that, what is the potential impact of reform on those red wall seats from the point of view of Labour?
Well, I think in the past there's been some Labour votes that may have gone to reform, but I think it was the Tories that really suffer. I think we overdo the Farage thing. I think we've always overdone Farage. I'm not saying he's not a significant political figure, but I think we've been too much Farage. And I only think that was interesting in the last 24 hours. It seemed to me there was nothing that Rishi Sunak saying that was really sort of aimed at bringing those people back. It's a script. The script yesterday and in your interview this morning with Nick. It's the same thing we've heard, and I'm all in favour of consistency and keep banging the same message. But I think that they were, what got them so far over on 2019 is the fact that they did a deal with reform. They can't do a deal with them now, it's absolutely obvious. You saw Farage and Ties, what they said yesterday. They are out now to do fundamental damage to the Tory party. And I think that's the driving message of this election is about getting rid of the Tories, and that ultimately helps Labour.
Let me pick up what you were saying, if I could, Alistair, about the need now for Labour to, as it were, up its game, up its offer, its inspiration, value, if you like. I made that phrase up there. That's a dreadful phrase. Let's go on. You know what I mean. Helen Lewis, do you think that now is a challenge that, as Rishi Sunak keeps saying, he's got no plan anyway, so he wants to do, we've got to get more than that 6 early steps coming from Keir Starmer?
Yeah, I think, the challenge for an opposition is this is the first time really that people will tune in to a lot of things. So there are people on the left who argue Labour's got too many policies, Labour's got too few policies. And what they're all saying is that there isn't kind of one thing that, that voters have really got to cut through. And so the challenge now is, TV debates, for example, what's funny about having the election now is that the Euros are going to come quite a lot of time, which you would expect there to be TV debates. Planning those is quite difficult. But also the challenge for Labour is to keep the message focused on the things they want to talk about. There was a moment yesterday at Prime Minister's questioning González. One of the backbench MPs is much more on the Corbynised side of things, raised Gaza. And what happened was that Sunak said, there's the so-called Change Labour Party. And there will be a consistent attempt, I think, from the Conservatives to make that argument. Labour hasn't changed, it's still the vote that it didn't in 2019. And Keir Starmer challenge is to keep dragging it back. All of these videos and released yesterday kept saying the Change Labour Party. And that's the thing he's now got to know, and hopefully exactly what people are finally tuned in to what the possibility of really taking back is in 6 months' time. Well, if you keep going into this thinking Rishi Sunak versus that the best you can get is being told is
I have absolutely no idea. I'm not as convinced as Alistair would like to be enough. I actually was surprised that he was like that on the first of his life. It's not a campaign, like a suspension campaign. But I think there's got to be optimistic in politics. I mean, you've got to go to just got to get to that level of this. I think the issue for the Starmer just to come back is I don't actually think he has to do very much more. So I think the opposite Conservatives will try to get it one back as well. I really think that will continue to Conservative government and incredibly easy for the Labour Party to feel fairly conscious, as Pat McCallum was on the programme earlier, sound sensible, sound safe, and I don't think they do have to do a lot. I think going early means that they can say, wait for our manifesto and we'll do politics in London. Alistair, the difficulty you seem to be highlighting though is that Keir Starmer's message appears to be everything's broken, nothing much needs to change.
No, but the point I was making is not about announcing lots of things that you and I haven't heard. My point was that this is what's been quite effective about Labour sort of being fairly low profile in this Labour. So if you just take the things that Keir Starmer set out last week, let's just take one of the Green Energy plan. I could imagine in a properly run campaign that takes up 3 days of the campaign. We're actually
that's working out. Women's Timothy. Here's Melvin Bragg with Inner Time.
Hello, the Empress Dowager Cixi, 1835 to 1908, was a dominant figure in the Chinese court for over 50 years. This was a time of rapid change and slow reform, when Western powers and Japan humiliated China in war after war, and the ruling Qing dynasty could not or would not modernize Africa. Later generations made many mistakes across the king, quite unknown in China. They should also gain credit for starting some reforms. The leading expert in Empress Dowager Cixi are Yang Wenzheng, Professor of Chinese History at the University of Manchester, Norman Crowe, Associate Professor in the Department of International History at London School of Economics and Visiting Professor at Leiden University, and Ryan is S.D. Lee Professor of U.S. Asia Relations. China. What's the state of China in 1830 to 1864?
1830 is absolutely right in China's history because it marks the decade in which essentially China moved from being in control of its own destiny as a country to being a country that essentially was at war with all prior to the 1830s were about centuries. China had been growing and becoming increasingly prosperous and increasingly economical. Through the 18th century, it doubled the population size from 150 million to about 300 million people. That was because there were new crops, new measures that meant that health improved amongst the population, and overall it was considered in some ways something of a golden era. But that changed quite rapidly by the early to mid-19th century, and in particular one product, opium, that really shifted the dial. Because the British Empire, having conquered East India, produced large amounts of opium from the poppies that were grown in Bengal and East India, and China was the place that they targeted as a market for that opium. And when the Chinese government, the Qing dynasty, refused to allow the entrance of opium into the country as a whole, that really meant that China found itself in a much more difficult position. The opium was being sold anyway, smuggled you might say, into China, and the state of the population became much more dependent in many cases on opium. A lot of people became addicted to it, and that did a great deal not only to reverse the balance of trade between China, it was now the Brits rather than China, but also the government of the Qing dynasty became increasingly concerned that the population was essentially being poisoned by drugs, and that somehow the dynasty was beginning to become vulnerable to the outside world. So the 1830s really marks that period when China becomes, first of all, subject to the impact of the Western Empire, British, French, and others, and increasingly uncertain whether it can actually cope with that outside pressure.
There's a trade imperative because we were in debt to China. Opium was one of the few things we could sell that they wanted. But there's also an imperial imperative to want to conquer China to have a bit of a trade empire.
Trade was the battering ram that opened up China in that sense, and it was a lot of companies that had been based in London, Scotland, and elsewhere that was behind the trade of getting opium in, but behind them a mission